You have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to the 15th of 19 candidate forums for the 2025 general elections in the Cayman Islands, proudly hosted by the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce. My name is Omari Corbin, and I'm honored to serve as the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Before we begin, I would like to sincerely thank the two Georgetown North candidates, Mr. Joseph Yu and Ms. Romelia Welcome, for accepting our invitation to participate in tonight's forum. By appearing together on this platform, you demonstrate a shared commitment to the democratic process and to the people of Georgetown North. Your presence signals your readiness to address the pressing issues raised by the community through a recent chamber survey, which has helped shape the questions we'll be asking tonight. While time won't allow us to cover every question submitted, we will do our best to focus on the topics identified as most important to the voters in the Cayman Islands as well as in Georgetown North. When the Chamber was founded in 1965, it was built on the principles of supporting, promoting, and protecting the interests of our members and the wider community. Remaining strictly non-partisan, we have proudly hosted these candidate forums every election year since 1988. We provided a neutral platform for 9 elections, allowing voters to hear directly from those seeking public office and helping our community make informed decisions on election day. The questions for tonight's forum have been carefully developed based on past and current chamber surveys, our 3-year advocacy agenda, and submissions from the public in various constituencies. No candidate has received these questions in advance, ensuring a fair and open discussion. As an organization committed to supporting a strong and sustainable Cayman, the Chamber's advocacy efforts focus on 3 key pillars: building a future-ready workforce, sustaining economic success, and advancing quality of life. The newly elected Chamber Council believes that these pillars are fundamental to the continued growth and prosperity of our islands. Looking ahead, the Chamber intends to collaborate with the incoming government to develop a government accountability scorecard, ensuring accountability and transparency. Additionally, we will seek representation on key government boards and authorities, as we believe our members bring valuable expertise that can help shape effective policies and initiatives. These forums require months of coordination, and I'd like to acknowledge the tremendous efforts of Will and our chamber staff who have worked diligently behind the scenes. I'd also like to express our gratitude to Ashley Furniture and Home Store, Foster's, CUC, and Logic for their generous sponsorship, which has made these forums possible. Additionally, we appreciate our media partners, Cayman Mall Road, Cayman Live TV, and ICCI-FM for broadcasting tonight's event. We are live streaming the forums, making it easier than ever for voters to tune in from the comfort of their homes. We hope that this added accessibility encourages even greater participation in the democratic process. And now, it's time to begin. Chamber Vice President Garth Arch and past President Shomari Scott will pose questions to our candidates this evening. I'll now turn the proceedings over to Will Panu, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, who will serve as tonight's moderator. Will outline the forum's rules and introduce our candidates from Georgetown North.
Good evening, candidates. Tonight's forum is designed to give each of you an opportunity, a fair opportunity to present your positions on key issues. The rules for tonight include you'll be asked a series of 12 questions. You'll have up to 2 minutes to respond to each question. A bell will sound when your time is up. That's the 2-minute mark. And I'd ask you to please conclude your remarks promptly. Candidates will speak without interruption, and you may disagree with another candidate's views during your response time. However, all comments must be made respectfully and within your allotted time. And at the end of the forum, each of you will receive 2.5 minutes to deliver a closing statement. Now I'd like to introduce the candidates for Georgetown North. We begin with Joseph Hugh, who is running as the People's Progressive Movement candidate for Georgetown North. He has represented the people of Georgetown North since 2013, earning a reputation for committed service and results-driven leadership. A seasoned businessman and former president of the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Hugh brings both private and public sector experience to the national stage. Before entering politics, he served as deputy chairman of the Trade and Business Licensing Board and the Port Authority. Re-elected in 2017, Mr. Hugh was appointed Minister of Commerce, Planning, and Infrastructure. In this role, he led key initiatives including the Georgetown Revitalization Project and the establishment of the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development, which supported local entrepreneurs and modernized the country's infrastructure. Locally, he has delivered meaningful improvements to Georgetown North, including enhanced drainage systems, road safety measures, and neighborhood cleanup programs. Today, Mr. Hugh leads the People's Progressive Movement, advocating steady, proven leadership at a time of national change. In Parliament, he serves on several committees, including the Public Accounts Committee, the Council of the Parliamentary Management Commission, the Ombudsman Oversight Committee, and the Youth Parliament Committee. Beyond politics, Mr. Hugh is deeply rooted in the community, having served as a former Rotary Club president, youth football coach, and active volunteer. Mr. Hugh and his wife Cynthia are proud parents of 2 sons. As a leader, he remains focused on practical solutions and policies that improve the lives of Caymanians across all districts. Welcome, Mr. Hugh.
Thank you.
Ms. Ramelia Welcome is running as an independent candidate for Georgetown North. A lifelong commitment to service, community, and country motivates her. A proud product of Georgetown Primary, Cayman Islands Middle School, and Cayman Islands High School, she later pursued language studies in Roatan, Honduras, to master Spanish, reflecting her passion for learning and connection. Miss Welcome's career began in tourism, where she rose from a bus girl at the Holiday Inn to front desk concierge at the Westin Casarina and later the Ritz-Carlton Grand Cayman. Her frontline experience reinforced her belief that tourism is not just an industry, but the heart of Cayman's economy and identity. As a single mother, she balanced work and family while advancing professionally, eventually becoming a ticket agent with Rollins Air and co-owning Atlantic Air, a charter company that served Honduras. Beyond her professional life, Ms. Welcome is a dedicated community leader. She served with the Georgetown Community Development Action Committee and co-founded the Cayman Kind Action Committee in 2022, where she continues to serve as president. Her work includes organizing events for children, the elderly, and vulnerable residents, leading neighborhood cleanups, and securing support for local beautification projects. Ms. Welcome is focused on tackling the cost of living, education reform, and environmental protection at the national level. Locally, her priorities include flood mitigation, road improvements, and community enhancement. With compassion and grit, she is committed to being a strong, independent voice for the people of Georgetown North. Welcome, Ms. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Welcome. We're going to now take a short commercial break, and when we return, our 2 panelists will begin the questionings. Please stay tuned.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Why is my bill higher? These days, It might seem like the cost of everything is going up here in Cayman. When it comes to your energy bill, this may be no exception. You may be wondering why your bill is higher when you haven't done anything different in your home. Here are some common factors that will increase your energy usage. As temperatures outside increase, your air conditioning unit has to run longer to keep your house cool, even if you haven't adjusted the thermostat. During the summer months, cooling your home can make up more than half of your energy bill. It's important to maintain your AC so that it can function as efficiently as possible. Changing your AC filters can also help with ensuring units are functioning properly. Remember, for every degree you turn up your thermostat, you can save on your monthly energy cost. Turn off your AC when no one is home. Thermostat should not be set any lower than 78 degrees. Also consider closing blinds and drapes on the sunny side of your home. This will help reduce the temperature inside your home. Remember to consider energy waste. Think about the items in your home that are using energy, like gaming computers and ceiling fans. Always unplug and turn these items off when they are not in use or needed. This will help you conserve. Now that you have some energy saving tips, you can track your consumption daily on MyCUC. Learn more at www.cuc-cayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for Georgetown North. Now time for the first round of questions, and I'm going to turn it over to past President Shamari Scott.
Good afternoon, lady and gent. And the first question I will start with is with you, Mr.
Hugh, and this has to do with your reasons for running. Why have you decided to run in this election, and how do you plan to represent the people of Georgetown North if elected effectively?
Thank you for the question. My reason for running in this election, again, this will be my fourth election, first election 2013 as part of a multi-member constituency, and then the previous two as the representative for Georgetown North. This election for me is a bit different in the sense that I am now leader of the party, the People's Progressive Movement, the PPM. And so I've taken on that role at a pivotal time, I think a time where we certainly recognize that the country is at a crossroads politically. We have all seen what has happened over the last 4 years with the independent experiment, as we all refer to it as, and the results of that with several changes in government throughout the years, the instability of that, the lack of meetings at the Parliament. And I felt that at this time, with the PPM celebrating over 20 years in existence, myself becoming the fourth leader of the party, that I had to continue the tradition of building the party for the future of the Cayman Islands. We have put together a extremely diverse party, slate of candidates. We have everything from the gender balance with 5 very strong females in the team, the diversity and the balance between age and youthful experience, if I want to call it that. And I feel that we are ready to hit the ground running and put this beautiful country that we have back on the path of prosperity for all. As I said, started out to say, the calling for me has always been to serve our country, and now I have to serve it. Now I have the opportunity to serve it at its highest level, and I hope to do so for the people of the Cayman Islands, and in particular the people of Georgetown North.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh. Ms. Welcome.
Good evening. I want to extend my gratitude to the Chamber of Commerce for organizing this forum, and a heartfelt thank you for my fellow Caymanians for your unwavering support. Georgetown North and our country deserve authentic representation. It's clear that the empty promises made over the past 12 years have been disregarded and forgotten after the elections. We need leaders who possess a genuine love for our nation, with the strength and the strength and integrity to provide the representation our people truly deserve. I am that leader. I believe in loving the Lord. Once you love the Lord, you love yourself, you would love your people. I have dedicated myself to serve our community without relying on the government's payroll. My opponent is well aware of my contributions and positive changes I have fostered in our neighborhoods, including Georgetown North. I am ready to elevate my service to our people and do so with excellence. This role is not about mingling with lavishing parties or promises to our country or robbing our people of their rights. It's about standing firm in our values. The Cayman Islands need individuals with courage to say no when something doesn't serve our best interests, and yes, when it does. For far too long, some individuals in my constituency have endured the same, if not worse, conditions over the past 12 years. There has been no real changes or relief from them. I refuse to let my opponent go unchallenged and inflict another 4 years of empty promises on our communities. I will be the steadfast barrier that stops his broken promise train where it needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome.
Good evening, candidates. Ms. Welcome, I'll start with you for the second question, which is on national issues. What are the top 3 national issues you would prioritize if elected, and why are they most urgent to address?
Thanks for the question. My national 3 is education. First of all, let's start off with the education. Our education system have failed our children. Over the past 12 years, our children have been transitioned through the system with little to no education. This needs to stop. Education starts at home, teaching children to have manners, respect, and how to behave in a classroom. We need qualified teachers who knows how and when to alter the teaching style to be effective. Children who are underachievers, more attention should be given to them and their parents to bring them up to the expected level above. Solution: we will start with a free after-school program to elevate these students, along with working with the parents to transform their homes into a learning environment. Our government schools are crowded. Whoever brainstormed the removal of Cayman Islands Middle School, it was not a good idea. I will advocate for the return of a middle school where our primary school students will develop and get ready for high school. I will advocate for a vocational school starting with George Hicks High School and the Clifton Hunter High School. Not every child will be a white-collar professional, but they can still make a very good living from professions such as plumbing, woodwork, mason, tiling, and electrical. Just to name a few. These jobs are currently dominated by foreigners. This trade school should be available to high school students and adults. I believe in training and hands-on experience to educate and uplift my people. Cost of living. Cost of living is one of our biggest challenges. My opponent, who was leader of the opposition at the time, didn't see fit to send a mayor or have the government send a mayor to line email to CUC to revisit the CUC contract.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome. Mr. Hugh, the same question for you.
Thank you very much. The 3 top priorities we're facing nationally is the cost of living, and cost of living includes housing, healthcare cost, and just the day-to-day stress that our people are facing. We have plans when we release our manifesto this Saturday. We will outline plans to deal with the cost of housing, to deal with the cost of health insurance. If you imagine a young single parent with 2 kids getting a job for $10 an hour, having to hire a babysitter 1 hour before going to work and 1 hour after, and then having to pay insurance for those 2 kids plus pension, at the end of the week, they're at a negative, they're at a deficit. So that has to be addressed. Our second issue is immigration, and we need immigration reform. If you look at what has happened, if you look at the statistics over several years, whilst we've had some growth in the GDP, we've had massive growth in immigration. Therefore, you have a larger pie in the GDP, but it's being sliced into smaller slices. So immigration is actually outstripping the growth in the GDP, meaning that each of us are getting a smaller piece of the pie. The third one would be education. We have seen some improvements, I think 12% improvement in primary schools with reading. I think that is a result of the national curriculum appearing, but we certainly have issues in the year 11 where we are still seeing 60% of our students not meeting the national standards in year 11. But one of the focuses that one of the things we will focus on is that early childhood education. There's no way that we can have children coming into primary school that have not started the basic reading and writing and mathematics going into primary school.
Thank you, Mr. Hood.
The chamber pillar, which is advancing quality of life, the next 3 questions will actually address that pillar. For question 3, we'll start with you, Mr. Hugh. With limited land and rising costs, what is your position on increasing building height and density in designated areas? If such development moves forward, what steps would you take to ensure affordability for returning graduates and young Caymanians?
Thank you, Mr. Scott. 2 minutes is certainly not enough time, but I will do my best to address it in 2 minutes. So if we think about the cost of land, and if we think about the rising sea levels and the effects of dramatic weather changes, we certainly have to start looking at further setbacks further from the coastlines and perhaps going a bit higher. This allows us to recognize those setbacks, but also provides the developers with the opportunity to realize their investment by going with taller buildings. Now, all of these things, and saying that because I'm answering the first part of the question, all of these things have to be addressed through our National Development Plan. Plan Cayman, the framework for the National Development Plan, has been around for 8 years now. It is ready to go. We are ready to hit the ground. Whether I understand they've broken it into 9 zones, we had it at 5 zones. It doesn't matter, but we know that the framework is a solid document, and we need to get moving on this National Development Plan. 27 years ago was the last time this plan was reviewed. This is a foundation of all of the issues that we are facing now. It is a foundation of the issues we're facing with the climate change, with the beach erosion. It is a foundation we're facing with the mixture of residential and commercial. It is the foundation of the issues we're facing with a shortage in rental properties because of things such as Airbnb, where we have to put zones in place that protect housing for Caymanians, protect housing that persons will have access to. Where we see the issues now is that every development that's being built, persons are buying large blocks of these apartments to put them into Airbnb. And this is causing our prices, this is driving the prices of our real estate up, making it out of reach for our young people, in particular those coming home from school and looking to start their lives by purchasing a property. With proper zoning, we can certainly take care of that. The other thing is that we have to do, as a government, we have to make more efforts to incentivize persons to build within that affordable housing category. One of the largest, the most expensive parts of development is getting out of the ground. So what we have to do is ensure that we give incentives to those who are building to build in the categories that we would like to see them build in.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh. Ms. Welcome.
My opponent had 12 years to act on all of this. We shouldn't be sitting here now discussing when we should have been past this, because he had 12 years to get all of this done. With the limit land and rising costs, land is extremely expensive here in the Cayman Islands, and especially for our Caymanians. I think, or I would say, I think we need to put a halt on building for now because it's being overpopulated, and such developments moving forward we should not be able to, can't afford to live here in our own country with these type of prices that is facing us. And what step would you take to ensure affordable for return graduates and young Caymanians? I would make sure to speak out and stand up and speak out regarding how best we can assist our Caymanians with affordable housing, and work also on the high interest costs to give them that opportunity to actually own something for themselves here in their own home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Welcome.
And your next question, if you so wish.
Ms. Welcome, the next question is on the Georgetown landfill. With the landfill nearing capacity and posing environmental and health risks, what immediate actions and long-term solutions would you propose to manage waste in a sustainable manner?
Thank you for the question. 15 to 20% of the garbage that goes to the landfill are vegetation. Why is this vegetation going to the landfill when it can be mulched and make into soil and resell? Revenue for the government. We have been on a one-track thing for over the past 12 years with the landfill. The last I've heard, it would have cost $1 billion to remediate, when in this time we could have had recycling plants with Caymanians working, sorting out the recycling loads and recycling what needs to be recycled. In doing this, it will provide jobs for Caymanians. At the same time, we would be eliminating the growth Mount Trashmore. For 12 years now, my opponent have been kicking that can down the road straight to the landfill.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome. Mr. Hugh, the same question for you.
Thank you very much. Let me just step back quickly to say that, where my opponent said that over the last 12 years, and I was in government for 8 of those 12 years and in opposition for the last 4, there were 2 events that caused a lot of the housing crisis. That was the advent of Airbnb and the economic substance legislation. Both of those saw large amounts of properties being purchased, A, for Airbnb purposes, and secondly, to house persons moving to the country because of the economic substance legislation. These are new things. What is important is how you react to it. I brought a motion to a private member motion from the opposition that actually broke up the PAC government, outlining 5 or 6 different ways that we can actually create programs for Caymanians to own homes. So just to say that I hadn't played a blind eye to it, and in fact we tried to help the government along from the opposition. ISWIM's Integrated Solid Waste Management System, it is a shame to see that project has now seen its untimely death. We are in a crisis. The landfill does not have 5 or 6 years left in it, as they have said, and we are not treating it properly. International standards is to cap it every 24 hours and compact it, and we are not doing that. Where we will have to move from here is to introduce mandatory recycling to reduce the amount of waste going into the landfill. That will only buy us a bit more time. The reality of it is that we're going to have to find another location to start tipping, another landfill location that we can put in properly line that location and start to tip there. But if we can reduce through recycling and through mulching, as my opponent has said, if we can reduce the waste by 40 to 50%, then we're looking at extending the life of the current landfill, but also managing the life of the future landfills while we find a sustainable once we identify a sustainable program such as solid waste to energy or some of the newer technologies that are coming out. But we are now at a crisis situation. We are facing an environmental disaster that this country has never seen. If we have a fire like we've had before, we will have loss of property.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh.
Well, thank you, candidates. We've gone through the first round of 4 questions. It's now time to take a commercial break. Please stay with us.
EV public charging can be a bit tricky to navigate if you're new to the game. But fear not. Here's a little 101 on all things public charging at your CUC charge station. The first tip is to get the mobile app up and ready on your phone before you charge your EV at the charging location. You can scan the QR code to load the app from sitting in your car. Download the mobile app, register a charge account, load money into your charge wallet. You must have a minimum of US $5 balance in your charge wallet to begin a charging session. Scan the QR code again to start a charging session using this charger. You can also enter the station ID number into the app. Follow the instructions on the mobile app to initiate your charging session. Now you're ready to charge your EV. Select either the right or the left charge plug. Plug your car in and make sure it shows as charging on your dashboard. Charging for 1 hour will give you up to 35 miles of charge. Charging to 80% optimizes battery life and reduces the risk of overcharging. So in that time, you can shop or go to work or chat with fellow EV owners. It's a real community out there. Great to see you, Maya. Happy charging, everyone. See you on the road.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for Georgetown North. We've gone through the first 4 questions. Now we're on the second 4. And this next question is going to deal with elderly care. And I'll turn it over to past President Shamari Scott.
Thank you, Will.
Mr. Hugh, we'll start round 5 with you. Many seniors face high living costs and lack sufficient pension savings. What policies would you support to improve their quality of life? And do you believe the government must ensure their basic needs are met with dignity?
Thank you for the question. I think it is extremely important that our that the elderly basic needs are met with dignity. The PPM has a record of looking out for our elderly. When we took office in 2013, the NAU were providing it for pensioners and for those most vulnerable in our society, $450 a month. We took our time as we adjusted our budgets and we took that up to $950 per month when we demitted office, and we continued to push until it's at where it's at now with private member motions at up to $1,500 per month for our pensioners and those who are most vulnerable in our society. Now, I can tell you that whilst it's up to $1,500 a month, and that is the only income that a lot of our seniors have, one broken water pipe or termites or one case of mold in the home, any of these events can put those seniors back into debt. And there's no easy access to help for them to be able to rectify those situations. And we find ourselves as representatives often having to go and beg and plead to help our seniors where we cannot get the help from the government. This cannot continue. We cannot continue to say that we value our seniors, but at the same time, we put them through this rigorous vetting process and then send them emails and send them WhatsApp that our seniors don't even have access to or don't understand. I can tell you that if it were not for my constituency office, many of the seniors in my constituency would not be receiving the help that they so dire need, because we have a system that is not that does not help them. We have a system that we are not considering who we are dealing with. You can't just send an email and send these long lists. I have constituents who said, I received a phone call today, but I didn't understand what the lady was telling me. I have said it over and over and over again. NAU, Needs Assessment Units, or Poor People Relief, need field agents that will go in and investigate and meet with the seniors and see what their needs are. I've had them respond to persons saying you do not need help because you don't have any electricity bills or water bills. The reason they didn't have electricity bills or water bills was because their water and electricity was cut off.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh. Ms. Welcome.
Thank you for the question. Our seniors have been neglected for years in Georgetown North and in the Cayman Islands on a whole. I work with seniors. My committee works with the seniors. We do a lot for our seniors. During my canvassing, I came across a 71-year-old senior living in an extremely deplorable condition. This went, I shared photos of this in the media. The way this senior, which my opponent is aware of who he is, where he shower is unbelievable. It is horrible. We have seniors who get little to no help. We have been doing a lot for our seniors and asking for support, and my opponent never one day stepped up to the plate to say he will support us in the move that we have made to assist our seniors. So it's ironic to sit here and hear all what they do for seniors, what he has done for seniors, but yet our seniors are still suffering and living in a deplorable condition in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome.
The next two questions relate to the second chamber pillar of building a future-ready workforce. Ms. Welcome, the sixth question is on education and the future economy. As AI and new technologies reshape the workforce, how would you raise educational standards and better prepare Caymanian students for future jobs? What reforms or initiatives would you pursue?
First off, I would say that being our education system is, I would say, broken. I would start with enforcing a trade school after school to bring our children up to speed, and motivational things to do to motivate them. For example, we have, last year I put on 2 trips to with saltwater sports to take our children out to see the reef, the fish, and 2 sunken ships out there. But these children who were down in their grades, and they had to do like math whiz, Mayon, seesaw. They had to step up. So stepping up in those grades, they were able to be rewarded with this educational field trip. So I would find ways to see how best we can motivate them to meet these marks and show them that we care, and sit down and discuss with parents and teachers how best we can move forward and building up the standards of our children's education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome. Mr. Hugh?
Thank you very much for the question. I just want to go back to the last question and what my opponent said about the gentleman, and I don't like to do this, but since she said that she's put pictures of him on the internet, etc., The particular gentleman in question was actually living in a shed without a door when I found him. I provided him with the trailer home. However, I cannot get any further help from government, from Children and Family Services or otherwise, because there's an issue with substance abuse. So we continue to work with the individual. But, you know, something I don't want to highlight in public, but since my opponent brought it up, I just thought I needed to clarify that. So on the question at hand, we are looking at education. As I said earlier, we want to start looking at education from early childhood. We want to ensure that our kids have the best access and quality education from early childhood. But when we get into when we address what we're seeing in the workforce today, we understand that there are a lot of technical jobs out there, VTech jobs that we can get our students prepared for. We cannot build a school to cover all of those. What we need to do is look at immigration, see where the job opportunities are from the work permit applications, and then start to offer scholarships for those individuals to go and train in those areas. There are many wonderful schools that we can tech schools that we can partner with in Florida. I know of one that I know a couple of kids that go to a marine school where you actually go and you learn marine mechanics, and then you get an opportunity to work there for 6 months after to gain that experience. So our view is that we want to identify a lot of these schools. I know that the government, we established a partnership with Johnson & Wales in Miami, and I know that DART has established a partnership with Lynn University on the culinary side. So we want to seek other opportunities where we partner with institutions, with technical schools in the U.S. that we can scholarship our kids to go to those schools. We do have fantastic programs here. The School of Hospitality program here has never been fully subscribed. We have the Public Works School and Public Works Enterprise Entrepreneur, the Public Works Technical School, where we develop that at the Public Works, where the kids are actually paired with a mentor. That has worked out really well. But we do have plans to further those kind of programs.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh.
Mr. Hugh, round 7. We'll start with you, vocational and technical training. What role should UCCI and ICCI play in expanding vocational and technical education? What steps would you take to strengthen training programs and align them with market needs?
You know, when I was just speaking to that a second ago, when we were in office, I think it was in our first 4 years, we recognized that we had a lot of students overseas training in the medical field, and we decided to then create a database of those students. That eventually led to where we were able to do exchange programs and also turn the HSA into a training hospital. I think we need to do the same thing on the technical and vocational side. We need to identify the jobs that are available in Cayman and then start to offer those scholarships for our kids to institutions overseas. Locally, we do have the ability to address some of the more basic ones, such as electrical, plumbing, and mechanical. But what we have found and what I have identified is, for instance, the electrical class at UCCI, for instance, when the person graduates that class, they do not even graduate with a journeyman license. So they still have to go out and find a firm to work with to train them to be able to pass a journeyman license, to be able, you know, in order for them to progress on to becoming a full electrician. We need to put programs in place that when that student leaves that program, they are ready to hit the ground running in the workforce. And so this is going to require partnerships between the government, the UCCI, ICCI, and the private sector. We had many discussions in this room with the Chamber of Commerce about how can your membership help. And we talked about things such as a +1, where wherever you have opportunities to add another employee, a Caymanian employee, a trainee, +1 within your workforce, if that is even subsidized by the government to ensure that that young person gets the experience needed to hold a full-time job in that profession. And so I think a combination of identifying the needs within our workforce and identifying partnerships overseas for some of the more technical programs, and then further developing our national programs at UCCI and ICCI to ensure that when you graduate from that program, you're ready to hit the workforce.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh. Ms. Welcome.
First and foremost, again, my opponent had 12 years to get this done. The roles, we need first of all to identify the students' interest, where their interest lies. Once we identify where their interest lies, we give them hands-on training. Once they get their hands-on training, and if they would like to go overseas or to further that training, we need to make sure when they return back home with their scholarship, we're not hearing that they're overqualified, and make sure jobs are here provided for them. That is as simple as it is. Show interest in our people, show interest in our children, and due to this fact, we have a lot of our people migrated out to England and living on welfare because they can't get a decent job in their own hometown. That stops here. We need to see to it that our children go overseas to study and come back home. There's jobs here waiting for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Welcome.
The next few questions relate to the third chamber pillar, which is sustaining economic success. Ms. Welcome, for question 8, beach erosion along 7 Mile Beach poses a threat to both tourism and the environment. What short and long-term actions would you support to address this, and how should these efforts be funded?
First and foremost, I don't think it was right for people or CPA to give permission to build so close to the water, because Mother Nature gives and Mother Nature takes. So with saying that, I believe that they applied for such things to put their business close to the water. That's on them. CPA shouldn't be held accountable to replenish sand or anything. I just think that we should be able to allow, put our standards down that you should not build so close to our beach so that we wouldn't have this issue with beach erosion in the future. Now that we have learned our lesson and see what can happen, what has happened. And for the long, I think that they that applied for this, the fund should not be on our people or our government. They applied for it, they paid for it, therefore, they want sand back there. I feel that they should be the ones putting the sand back there, not the people of the Cayman Islands funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome. Mr. Hugh?
Thank you for the question. The beach erosion on the southern end of 7 Mile Beach has become a national crisis as far as the tourism product is concerned. The first building that falls into that sea, news will travel around the world that 7 Mile Beach is gone. We have seen over the last Thanksgiving period, we saw tremendous cancellations in bookings for properties along that southern end of the 7 Mile Beach. The effects of climate change, rising sea levels, whatever the causes are, the beach erosion has been happening over the last several decades. And even if we do what a lot of people are saying, a managed retreat or retreat back from it and knock the buildings down, which is not practical, the water will just continue to come. So there's only one answer to that, and that is beach renourishment. They have identified ways to do this. This is nothing new. They've been doing it in Florida for decades now, over 60 years, and there are experts all over the world in this. We have to do the beach renourishment before we can even start to consider anything like a managed retreat. However, as I said earlier, the National Development Plan plays a vital role in what happens in the future. As we continue to build, we have to ensure that we put the setbacks, and I think it's time now that we actually put a rigid line as far as what we consider the people's beach and the property owner's beach. And once we have that line set, which I think falls right along what was originally the vegetation line, we set the setback from there and not from the high water mark. As we can see, if we do the setback from the high water mark, now some of the buildings would be on 7 Mile, on the road on 7 Mile Beach. So what I would propose is that we join with the private sector, we start the beach renourishment program, get that going that we can be in a position by this hurricane season that we have that protection, that barrier along the 7 Mile Beach, and then we create a fund, whether it's 50 cents or 25 cents or $1 per room night across all 3 islands, that will continue to feed into that fund, because this will not be the only location and the only time that we will see this happen.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh.
Well, thank you, candidates. We've gone through 8 questions. Now we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we return, we'll have the final round of questions. Please stay tuned.
At CUC, we care about helping our customers. Here are some quick energy-saving tips from CUC so you can use less energy and save money. Set your AC Smart thermostat to maintain an indoor temperature of 87 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you are away from home, and have the temperature cool to a comfortable 78 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you arrive home. Adding insulation can cut your cooling costs by 15 to 45%, depending on your home's size and current insulation. Focus on insulating your attic, walls, and windows for the best results. For your laundry, avoid over-drying clothes. Not only does it waste energy, but it also harms fabrics. Dry towels and heavier cottons separately from lighter weight fabrics to save energy. Your TV and gaming setup can be big energy consumers. Save costs by reducing in-game settings and turning off your console when not in use. Remember, every small step counts. Use energy wisely and make a big difference in your energy bills and the environment.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for Georgetown North. Gone through 8 questions. We're still on the Chamber pillar, sustaining economic success. The next question will deal with development, and I'll turn it back over to Shamari Scott.
Thank you, Will. Mr. Hugh, we'll start question 9 with you. With limited land and increasing property values, do you support allowing taller buildings in key areas such as West Bay Road and other districts? Why or why not?
Thank you for the question. I do think that there is room for us to look at taller buildings, but we must take into consideration the landscape. So if you're starting with the lower buildings and you don't certainly want to have going from 3 stories or 5 stories to 20 stories. It has to be planned in a way that you have that gradual increase. And when we rezoned Georgetown, that's what we did. Zone A in the front, you had 3 stories, then the next level is 5 stories, and then we went to 10 stories. I think before we can talk about all of that, though, is that we have to update our National Development Plan. Without a National Development Plan, we can't consider any of these things. It's just all theory at the moment. So when we look at West Bay Road in particular, let's talk about West Bay Road. When you look at West Bay Road and we say, okay, we don't want the tall hotels on the beach side. In fact, we're now looking at trying to get people to set back even further and maybe even build on the opposite side of the street. And what are the trade-offs for that? Do we go taller, shorter on the beach side, lower density, and then taller on the road side, the land side of 7 Mile Beach? And then you can set whether you go by increments of 20% or whatever until you get up to whatever the desired or the agreed height is. When we get to 10 feet, is there much difference between 10 feet and 15 feet? 10 stories and 15 stories? Is there much difference between 15 and 17 or 20? You know, these are the things that the experts would tell you when you look at that eye line from the street. You want to be able not to have these things protruding out, but moved up. But then we also get into density. As we focus more and more on the environment and preserving our wetlands, etc., we're going to have to find housing for our people. And that means that we will have to increase densities in certain areas, allow people to build more on smaller lots, or allow them to go taller in certain areas. So I do believe that in the future we will have to discuss the ability to go higher, but the trade-off for that is to have further setbacks from the coastlines and, of course, proper zoning so that it's being done for the Caymanian people and not just for the sake of development.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh. Ms. Welcome.
Thank you for the question. I say no. No more tall buildings. Because at the end of the day, as a taxi driver, I drove a lot of foreigners, and they're saying, Miss Welcome, Cayman no longer looks like an island. We're taking away our island. Look, it looks like little Miami, and that's not what we want. That's not what we want people to come here. We want people to come and enjoy our island, look, our island style, our island life. Too much of these tall buildings is going up. And come on. This is the beautiful Cayman Islands. They're taking away our beauty with these tall buildings. You can't even see our beach anymore driving down the West Bay Road. Everything is tall. The fence are 6 feet and up. You can't even, while driving or cruising down West Bay Road, you can't even see our beautiful beach. One time we could have. I say enough is enough. We do not need any more tall buildings here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome.
Mr. Welcome, the next question is on preferred areas of responsibility. If elected, which government portfolio or policy area would you most like to focus on? And what makes you well suited for that role?
As a community advocate, I enjoy getting things done in my communities, and I've gotten a lot done, especially when it comes on roads, drains, and overgrown vegetation. With no support from my opponent here, it was all done by me. So that is something that I would like to continue into, infrastructure and roads. Yes. Thank you.
Ms. Welcome. Mr. Hugh?
Thank you for the question. I guess my answer has to be I'd like to focus on being the premier. But outside of that, my interests have always been, obviously, I spent 4 years as the Minister of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, and I have a long history in the field of tourism as well. But I think, as the person that leads the party and God's willing, after April 30th, if I am premier, then we will have to look at what role would best suit me. I think I do have the ability to cover a wide gamut of subjects, and it will be based on what we see is fitting for the team overall. And then, of course, I will be the person to fill in those gaps.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh.
Mr. Hugh, this is going to be question 11, and the last question for me. It has to do with constituency priorities. How would you balance your responsibilities between serving the specific needs of Georgetown North and shaping national policy? Which do you believe is more important, and how will you effectively manage both?
Thank you for the question. I think that the challenges facing our constituents in Georgetown North, and understanding that Georgetown North is a very diverse constituency. We have the center of Georgetown, including Watlers Road, Washington Boulevard and Rockhole, and all the way down to the Ritz-Carlton. So we have a variation of issues. We spoke earlier about beach renourishment. That's extremely important to some of our constituents, and to other constituents, it doesn't matter to them. But a lot of the issues, pressing issues that our constituents, or the constituents of Georgetown North are facing, are also national issues, right? These are the cost of living. Include the cost of living. Home repairs is a massive issue. Getting access to government assistance in home repairs, in particular in situations where we have our constituents living in a family property. So the property is not in their name. So when they apply to government, I had a young lady crying to me today who went through the process of applying for home repairs, but because the property that she has lived on for her entire life is now in her deceased grandmother's name, government cannot provide her with the assistance that she needs, and now she needs to go and find somewhere to live. We have got to find a way to work around that. We can do affidavits. There are people in the community that can do affidavits to say that we know this young lady is a granddaughter of the deceased and the title holder of the property, and we're willing to sign an affidavit to say that she has lived there for the last 10 years or for the last 20 years. The other, as I said, issues that we're facing is single parents trying to make a living. Again, like I said, by the time they take out pension and insurance, and if they have to borrow money for uniform to get started, they're going home at a deficit because we do not have that family structure we used to have, where when someone goes to work, the grandparents take care of the kids, or the aunt or the sister take care of the kids. We're slowly losing that, and people are finding it very difficult to balance the work and life, and to actually not just survive, but forget about thriving, but they're finding it difficult to survive. So we have to address these issues head on, and we have to be practical about them.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh. Ms. Welcome.
Thank you for the question. First and foremost, we need a balance. Our communities in Georgetown North has been divided. Special attention have been given to one side, and the other side is a blind eye, or a turn ahead has been done for the other part of the constituency. All complete of Georgetown North constituency, apart from the West Bay Road, the roads are in more or less deplorable conditions. My opponent here was once appointed minister over roads. Nothing got done. We have so many of our people living in deplorable, extremely deplorable conditions in the other half of the district, of the constituents, and my opponent here doesn't care to get anything done. When I would step in, and me and my team step in to do things, oh no support at all. So I think, and I would see to it that we best help our people to rise up, to lift up, to fix up their homes, fix up their properties, because when you have a beautiful community, the value on your home and your community goes up. It stays down. You are inviting any type of unwanted people into your community, and that's where speakeasies and all of that tends to happen. So the same attention that is put to the West Bay Road side is the same attention I would put to the other areas in Georgetown North as well. It has gone neglected far too long, and I am here to uplift my people and level that playing field. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome.
Mr. Welcome, the final question is on crime prevention. Given the importance of the 7 Mile Beach corridor to stay over tourism, what steps would you take to improve public safety in the area? Do you support establishing a police substation in Georgetown North and increasing patrols?
Thanks for the question. Far too long, our police officers have not performed the way that they should. We have found that they turns a blind eye to situations that needs to be corrected or where the law needs to be upheld. And we find that because we have a lot of the officers are from a certain country, and that's a norm for them where they comes from. Our culture completely is totally different. We need officers with respectable officers who is willing to uphold our laws and get the job done. Far too long, I have been complaining on issues with the 7 Mile Beach and within our communities, and it just have gone unnoticed. We need quality trained police officers who are willing to abide by the laws of the Cayman Islands and act according to our laws. Because what we have now, majority of them is not assisting and doing what needs to be done in the Cayman Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome. Mr. Hugh?
Thank you for the question. I don't know if we need a substation in Georgetown North. I do know that they have a training facility here in this location that it can become a substation if there's an issue. They also have the mobile station that when they are need high visibility, they can move that mobile station up and down. What I do believe we need is consistent community police officers. Unfortunately, every time we get accustomed to a community beat officer, they get moved to another location, or every time there's an increase in crime in a particular area, or we have shootings, etc., they pull those beat officers off to fill the gaps, and then we can go weeks. By the time they get back to work, they then have another week or two vacation that they've accumulated over that time, and we're without beat officers over that period of time. Throughout our community, 7 Mile Beach and within central Georgetown area, the beat officers play a huge role as long as they have developed a relationship with the residents in the area or along the 7 Mile Beach with the managers and the residents of those on 7 Mile Beach. So that is key. I think that we also have to upgrade our CCTV system. It's quite old. There's so much new technology now. We also have to pay attention to immigration, as we said. I think there's just way too much abuse of the work permit system. On any given day throughout our communities, you will see groups of work permit holders standing in corners, waiting for somebody to offer them a job. I've had situations where they've gone to residents saying, I haven't worked in days and I'm hungry, do you have food? If you look at the major construction sites, even here on 7 Mile Beach, whenever there's a big pour, as they call it, when they're doing a foundation or they're doing pilings, you will see groups of individuals outside that fence who supposedly have jobs. They have a work permit for a job, but they're there at that construction site looking for a day's work. And we are getting reports back from contractors that people are showing up on a daily basis saying, I have not worked in weeks and I'm hungry. Do you have any food? Can you please give me a day's work? So these are, and you know, a person isn't going to starve to death. And a person who has spent their savings to come to this island and to look for a better life, they're going to try and find that better life, whether it's legal or illegal, or try to find the funds to get back home. And so I think these are the things that we could pay attention to, low-hanging fruit, before we talk about substations and further infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh.
Well, thank you, candidates. We've gone through the 12 questions, and thank you very much. Now we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we return, we'll have the closing statements from each of our candidates. Please stay tuned.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Why is my bill higher? These days, it might seem like the cost of everything is going up here in Cayman. When it comes to your energy bill, this may be no exception. You may be wondering why your bill is higher when you haven't done anything different in your home. Here are some common factors that will increase your energy usage. As temperatures outside increase, your air conditioning unit has to run longer to keep your house cool, even if you haven't adjusted the thermostat. During the summer months, cooling your home can make up more than half of your energy bill. It's important to maintain your AC so that it can function as efficiently as possible. Changing your AC filters can also help with ensuring units are functioning properly. Remember, for every degree you turn up your thermostat, you can save on your monthly energy cost. Turn off your AC when no one is home. Thermostat should not be set any lower than 78 degrees. Also consider closing blinds and drapes on the sunny side of your home. This will help reduce the temperature inside your home. Remember to consider energy waste. Think about the items in your home that are using energy, like gaming computers and ceiling fans. Always unplug and turn these items off when they are not in use or needed. This will help you conserve. Now that you have some energy saving tips, you can track your consumption daily on MyCUC. Learn more at www.cuc-cayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for Georgetown North. Gone through 12 questions with the candidates this evening, and now it's time for their closing statements. And the first closing statement will be delivered by Mr. Joseph Hugh.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Will and President Corbin, for hosting us this evening. I know that it takes a lot of effort. This is my fourth debate, and prior to that, I was the president of the chamber, and so I did it for two elections before that as well. But I just want to say thank you for hosting us this evening. I want to thank the people of Georgetown North and the greater Georgetown for giving me the opportunity and quite honestly the honor for representing you over the past almost 12 years. I will continue to be there for you. I will continue to be there whether it's a storm, whether it's flooding. I'll be there for the happy times, and I will be there for the sad times. We are here always to serve you, and we are always accessible to you. I want to take an opportunity to invite you and the people of Georgetown North and all who are listening in the Greater Cayman Islands to join us on Saturday night, this Saturday night, the 5th, at Compass Green for the launch of our manifesto. It'll be 42 pages packed with information about the plans that the PPM have for the next 4 years. We're here to care for the vulnerable and keep the public finances strong and disciplined. We grow our economy and protect the environment that sustains it. We support small businesses and secure fair, livable wages for workers. We expand opportunities for Caymanians and manage population growth responsibly. We modernize infrastructure and preserve the character of our islands. We attract investment and ensure that Caymanians benefit first. We support the next generation and respect the contribution of our elders at the very same time, and we reduce crime and rebuild trust between communities and law enforcement. And again, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Again, thank you to the people of Georgetown North and the people of Georgetown for trusting me over the last 12 years, and I look forward to serving you for another 4. Good night, and God bless you all.
Ms. Romelia, welcome.
First and foremost, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for having us and this beautiful settings. I have proven my track record success spanning in decades. I am a true go-getter. I get things done. My passion lies within serving my community and meeting the needs of my people, especially our seniors, who have shaped these islands into what they are today. My focus will be on the well-being of our seniors, the health of our communities, and the prosperity of my Caymanian people. I will continue to meet the needs of our communities from a higher level and serve as the backbone of my district council, ensuring that action is taken and results are delivered. While my opponent boasts about his so-called stable leadership, what has truly been demonstrated is a clear neglect of our people. He has prioritized special interest groups over our communities, leaving many to struggle and suffer. This imaginary train has come to a grinding halt, and it's time for a change. With Romelia Welcome at the helm, join me in being a part of that change. Vote for Romelia Welcome number 2 on April 30th, 2025, and let's make things right together. Cayman, Georgetown North, together we can do this. Let's make that change. Change starts at the poll. If you want change, let's vote for Romelia Welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you, candidates. Now reached a time where we'll have some closing remarks from Chamber President Omari Corbin.
Thanks, Will. On behalf of the Chamber Council and staff, I would like to thank Mr. Joseph Yu and Ms. Romelia Welcome for participating in this evening's forum. I trust that this forum will help Georgetown North voters make informed decisions about who to vote for when you go to the polls on April 30th. I would also like to thank Ashley Furniture and Home Store, CUC, Foster's, and Logic for sponsoring the Chamber's candidate forums. Please join us tomorrow evening as we welcome the 3 candidates from Georgetown Central, Kenneth Bryan, Carmen McField, and Anthony Ramoon. Please note that all forums will be posted on the Chamber's YouTube channel for your future reference. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you'll join us tomorrow evening. Have a restful night.
At CUC, we care about helping our customers. Here are some quick energy-saving tips from CUC so you can use less energy and save money. Set your AC Smart thermostat to maintain an indoor temperature of 87 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you are away from home, and have the temperature cool to a comfortable 78 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you arrive home. Adding insulation can cut your cooling costs by 15 to 45%, depending on your home's size and current insulation. Focus on insulating your attic, walls, and windows for the best results. For your laundry, avoid over-drying clothes. Not only does it waste energy, but it also harms fabrics. Dry towels and heavier cottons separately from lighter weight fabrics to save energy. Your TV and gaming setup can be big energy consumers. Save costs by reducing in-game settings and turning off your console when not in use. Remember, every small step counts. Use energy wisely and make a big difference in your energy bills and the environment.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.